Let's freaking go. Welcome back. It is the PHL Saturday Night Live, baby. Eddie Murphy has nothing on this entertainment that we have for you tonight. I'm kidding. Eddie was a goat. But today we have a lot to get to and not a lot of time. And normally I say we have a lot to get to. There really isn't any big time breaking news story involving the world of LSU football. But I do have some really good news for you tonight. This is going to be one of those chill live streams. I know Saturday we got the NFL going on. Everybody's out and about. No real LSU news. Spring football nowhere close to be found. But we are going to talk about the transfer portal tonight. We're going to talk about a big-time target LSU is after at the center position. Type Y for yes, type N for no. Do you believe LSU needs an upgrade at center? Okay. Look, you can even see in the background here my magnifying glass. I've been studying film like this, trying to find the center, Charles Turner, and checking every last movement that he has. Because that's what we do on PHL. Did y'all know that? Every film study breakdown, I get this thing out. Kidding. But it would be cool if y'all actually did believe that. Be like, God, he is so good at this thing. And he actually takes the time to break it all the way down. That's what we do. Pretty crazy stuff. I thought this was kind of crazy tonight. I had a lot of my viewers go see Eli Young Band tonight at Texas Club. Eli Young Band? Really? Eli Young Band? Country music. I'm kidding. Country's fine. I don't know what it is about country music. I worked in the industry for too long. But anyway. The NFL sucks tonight. The Giants are getting blown out. I don't give a rip about that game. Their three best players are two Bama guys and an Ole Miss guy. So I'm not cheering for the Eagles. Obviously, Joe Burrow plays tomorrow in the NFL. We'll talk a little bit more about that later because I feel like Joe Burrow's getting disrespected. And I know we don't do much NFL stuff, but I feel like we have to defend Joe Burrow's honor this lovely evening. Okay. Oh, you changed from the crawfish industry to the concrete industry. Did the crawfish get so freaking expensive? You know what's funny, Simper? Today, I was actually looking at the photo of your lovely family that you sent me not too long ago. Good to see you, man. William, LA Mom, Hal, I get to meet you on Tuesday. Really excited about that. So I want to bring this up. On Tuesday in Baton Rouge, we will be doing some kind of meetup. I am coming to Baton Rouge on Tuesday night. I have an event on Wednesday night in New Orleans, and we should be back for the Thursday night live stream. So on Tuesday night, we are going to do an earlier live stream from somewhere in Baton Rouge. I don't know. I might do it from somebody's house. I might do it from a restaurant. If you guys know of a restaurant that would like for me to do a live stream from where they are, let me know. I'll do it. I know it's kind of short notice, but if any of y'all know anybody, I would do their show. Like if work something out. But I'm so excited. I've never gotten to do a show live from Baton Rouge. And I know all the other big YouTube channels, and I'm not big. I'm not as big, obviously, as T-Bob and Skona. I know they do their shows from like different Baton Rouge establishments. I would love to do one from there, right? And just do a PHL meetup. And I am big on letting actual PHLers on the channel. Now, for the New Orleans one, I almost got demonetized for those that actually saw what happened, but my views went up. I'll put it that way. But it's very interesting doing a live show. I am a big in-person person, right? I know it's kind of weird, but I know it's like a very virtual thing. I'm on YouTube and you guys are wherever you are. It's very strange, right? Being from it's sitting from where I'm sitting, right? But actually get to meet you guys. We're actual people. Now, sometimes I don't believe some of you are actual people, right? Like, I know Pierce is an actual person. LA Mom is too heavenly to actually be a person. I don't believe she exists. Um, Joshua, good to see you. Chance wants to talk about why are the stars from high school still referred to in the portal? They usually are buzz, so it seems irrelevant. It's like walk on never goes away either. Yeah, it's very interesting. So we'll start with there. Okay. So this is a very good point. Why are these stars so I'm not going to pull up an example because it is a little confusing, but what Chance is referring to here is when you go to 247 site, or if you go to On3 site and you look at a player from the portal, there are two separate star ratings. There is a transfer portal ranking where they rate you based on how they view you as a prospect now, but they also still post your high school rating. And what Chance says is the high school rating is irrelevant, which is kind of sort of true. But what I'll push back on, Chance, is number one, I don't know how you guys feel about this, but I am obsessed with the high school ratings. I am obsessed with how they rated you coming out. Number one, the data oftentimes turns out to be true. The subjective rating that you receive oftentimes will tell us if you're a first round draft pick or if you're going to the NFL. Doesn't always, obviously, Justin Jefferson, Russell Wilson, JJ Watt, you guys know. The same old story, Justin Herbert. Um, but I also think it's relevant because people like to know that. Like, I've always found that number to be very interesting, right? So let's take someone like a Quentin Johnston, right? The very good wide receiver from TCU. Like, you view him as a really good wide receiver from TCU, and TCU normally doesn't get the best receivers, but he was a really highly rated recruit. He was a top 100 recruit. He just went to TCU. So I find it interesting. I find the data to still be intriguing. But once again, like you said, Chance, it's not as important as how they are now as a player. So a good example of this is, well, I'm not going to, put down on any LSU player that didn't work out. But as you know, Chance, you're a very sharp guy. There are so many LSU elite recruits, top 100 guys that LSU has brought in over the past couple of seasons that busted at an extremely high rate, right? And normally I consider an elite recruit a top 125 guy, right? So J. Bud Davis has done really good work on this. Top 100 recruits, if you get a top 100 guy and if you get a lot of top 100 guys, your chances of going to the national championship exponentially increases. So it's not just 5 stars, top 100. Because recruiting rankings can be a little unreliable, I stretch it out to top 125. I think that's a pretty good cutoff, right? Um, it gives you a little bit more positional versatility because normally wide receivers are rated a little bit higher. So let's just say top 125 guys. There were so many LSU players that were top 125 guys over the past couple of years that are that just gave us absolutely close to nothing. And it is rare that happens. Very rare for the high volume of guys that happen to. And it's crazy. It's honestly pretty nuts. So, it's not like that data becomes unreliable. It's just LSU got very unlucky with that. And I know we can get into, well, Ed Orgeron didn't develop him well and all of that, but honestly, there's only so much you can do, right? So it's crazy. Senior Bowl meetup, live from Mobile. I'll do a show from Mobile. Yeah, go on ahead, Hal. Let me know. I'd love to do a show from somewhere. I really would. As long as it doesn't conflict with someone else's show that they do from somewhere. I'm not a toe stepper honor. It's not my thing. But we can work something out. I'm friendly with everybody. Or at least I think I am. So yeah, I'd love to do something for Baton Rouge. Not a super conglomerate, big time account, but this is what I do full time, and we'll do giveaways and all kinds of stuff. Right? I'll tell Anthony Starr Presley to fly down. I'll tell Van to fly in. We'll do it big. It's kind of short notice. We'll see. LA Mom wants to talk crawfish. Come on, LA Mom. You're better than that. I'm fat. I'm always hungry. I ate something called a lamb burger today. If you ever get a lamb burger, get it. I don't know what all comes on. It was like feta. It was like a ton of feta cheese. I think it was like a tzatziki sauce kind of mix. I'm a Mediterranean feaster, right? I think I am Greek. Like I think there's a piece of me mixed in my Creoleness that has a little bit of Greek in me. Like if my stain, I would change my name to Stelios Aristotle Ginakopoulos tomorrow. Me and Giannis, best bros. In fact, I almost bought a Giannis card. This is how close I was. I went to a card show today. This is how close I was to buying a Giannis card. And I like Giannis. I don't love him. I like him. I was getting ready to trade some of my Joe Burrow stuff for a Giannis card today. Dude wouldn't take my offer. I was fine. That happens all the time. Sometimes people take your offers. I was ready to move 3 of my Joe Burrow cards for a Giannis rookie auto. I like Giannis. He seems humble, very interesting guy. I always wanted to visit Greece. I think it'd be a pretty cool country to go. I remember when they made the run in the 2004 Euro tournament or 2002. That was a crazy one. That was a little bit later than that. I think it was 06. I don't remember. They made a long run in the Euro tournament. I've always liked Greece. I always do. I will say I had a close friend. A lot of you might know who that is. Go to Greece and they lost his luggage. So that always concerns me. I'm a baby. I don't know if I could do the lost luggage thing. Skip, what's good? Yeah, I saw this. So I'll talk a little bit about this. Oh, by the way, the title of the video has JAKAI Clark in there, right? We'll talk about him a little bit later. Now, the one thing I will say about this, Chance, is I didn't read the article, but it was a tweet from Bruce Feldman who said the average star of NFL All-Pro offense was 2-star in high school, and it was 4.5 stars for All-Pro defense. Okay, so the first thing I would push back on is I would not have done a data set of All-Pro because All-Pro is a more limited number. I think what would be more interesting would be the Pro Bowl because you would have a wider data set of players, right? And if you did the Pro Bowl over the past 5 years, now I know some Pro Bowlers, like Russell Wilson shouldn't have been a Pro Bowler last year, but he was like 5th alternate in the NFC, so he got in. I think Pro Bowl would obviously, give us a little bit bigger of a picture, but a good example of this, Chance, actually is well, the team we talk about all the time on here is 2019 LSU, right? So 2019 LSU, you take a look at the defense, okay? The starting defense of 2019 LSU. Both the corners were 5 stars. Both the safeties were 5 stars, right? Jacoby Siemens was a 5-star, 247 composite, and Grant Delpit, who was the best out of all of them, was a top 100 player. The nickel was Kerry Vincent, who was also a top 125 4-star, if I'm not mistaken. And the linebackers were Jacob Stevens, 5-star composite, and the other linebacker was a 4-star in Patrick Queen. Now, to defend the Patrick Queen thing, he actually is a lower tier 4-star, but he's still a 4-star, so he's still a blue chip recruit. And then the defensive line was Kayvon Chason, a top 50 4-star, so practically a 5-star. Rashard Lawrence, who was a 5-star. Nose tackle Tyler Shelvin, top 50 4-star. And the other end was, I almost said Benny Logan. Glenn Logan, who was a 4-star at Destrehan. And that's pretty crazy, right? So the defense was all 5. We had more 5-stars starting on defense or top 50 4-stars than not, which is crazy, right? So we were elite in terms of star ratings on defense. But on offense, Joe Burrow, middle tier 4-star, number 281 ranked recruit. Clyde Edwards-Helaire, 3-star running back. Tight end, Thad Moss, 3-star. Justin Jefferson, as many of you know, 2-star. Now, Terrace Marshall was a 5-star, and Jamar Chase was a number 84 ranked 4-star. But the offensive line, Austin Deculus, top 55 4-star, but the rest were all 3-stars, right? Obviously, Lloyd Cushenberry was a low-ranked 3-star. And then I think Sadiq Charles might have been a 4-star or whatever. So this kind of goes on with your point, right? Like I think offensive guys, it's more about scheme, right? It's more about, getting open. It's more about, I think if you are, and I'm not saying you don't have to be mental defensively, but if you put in a lot of work, you can be really good offensively. Now, I'm not saying you can't be defensively, but offensively you can scheme things up, and offensively there's just so many more players, right? Like there's all these guys. I mean, there's so many guys that tear people up on 7-on-7 and whatnot, but I don't know why that is. It's interesting, right? It does seem like like the ratings matter more on the defensive side of the football. I know it might seem a little anecdotal, but it does seem like that, right? Like, of course, you have guys like Mo Claiborne, who was like a 3-star and like really good. But if we were to honestly go through and list the best LSU defensive players of all time, Glenn Dorsey was an elite 5-star, right? Patrick Peterson was an elite 5-star. Tyrann Mathieu was like a middle tier 4-star, right? So I would think if we were to list like the 100 best defensive players in the modern era, Jamal Adams was definitely there, 5-star. Devin White, middle tier 4. So yeah, it's very, very interesting. What's up, Coach? Good to see you. John Sibley, good to see you. Good weekend to you. I'm glad you saw that though. Uh the only decent crawfish in town here is at the gas station. It's a fight to see what's going to cost more, the gas or the food. And if you get gas station crawfish, you'll get an extra kind of gas later on in the night. Good to see you, Pierce. Jared, good to see you. There are thousands of 2 to 3 stars every class, a few hundred 4-stars, and only 32 5-stars. Of course, there'll be more 2 or 3 stars, but the hit rate. But that's I see your logic here, KMC, but that it's even though on both sides, right? Like, it depends on the number of total 4 and 5 stars that are on offense and defense. I would guess to say that number is probably pretty equal. So I get I get what you're saying here, but it doesn't necessarily apply here, right? Because you would think it would be like you think it would be the same on both sides of the ball, right? This is not Chance making a point that, hey, there's all these 2 and 3-star Pro Bowlers. That doesn't really shock anybody. It's just the number on offense is way higher than the number on defense. That was his main point. It's a little bit different. The best kind of food is at a gas station in Covington. Giants need Eli Manning. I love it. I'm a huge Eli Manning fan. Bigger Peyton fan, obviously, but I like Eli too. I'm just a fan of the Mannings, and it's weird because, like I said, all that stuff about Arch. I'll never shy away from this recruiting ranking that Arch Manning got. I do think one thing was really good though is not everybody kept him as the national number 1 overall recruit. I don't think that should ever be the case. Like, if somebody is the number 1 national overall recruit in all 4 of the recruiting services, even if that player is like Patrick Mahomes good in high school, that's still not a good thing, right? You want a diversity of opinions, right? It's impossible to, I think in basketball it'd be a little bit easier for every recruiting ranking to have like one person be the 5-star of all 5-stars. But in football, I think it should never be the case. But I'm a huge Peyton and Eli fan. And I remember Van, when he was a guest on here last, had a big disagreement about that. Let's see here. Rome, what's good? Rome, I have been to 3 card shows in the past 3 weekends, and you have not texted me back at all. I understand. I see how the friendship is. The only way you can repair our broken friendship, Rome. You missed out on the Giannis card I almost traded for some Burrows. The only way you can make up for this, Rome, is if you $5 super chat to get the super chat train moving here. Okay. I'll touch on the basketball thing really quickly. I didn't watch a second of it. One of our viewers, Branson Cat, was in the student section today. I didn't watch a second of that. It was garbage, right? This is a bad basketball team, right? Kind of felt this way about the roster going into the year. You know, if one of your best players is coming off an ACL, uh, that's not good. Obviously, Juice Hill, I don't know if he was back on the team today or not. I know in the game before he left for personal reasons. I like him. Um, I've talked to his dad before. His dad was a really good athlete in his own right. Um, but yeah, God, they're, and I'll be brief because you guys are here for LSU football. I, I, we it's just hard. It's kind of hard. Like, I mean, you know, when I was at LSU, you know, the women's team was just always kind of ahead of the men's team as well for the most part. I mean, they went on that Final Four run like right before I got into college. And yeah, they had some good teams, but LSU men's basketball, I mean, there's just so much it's just so much meh to it. It doesn't really feel like anything if you get what I'm saying, right? And it's not necessarily like we're good or bad. I think one thing for me, and I don't know how you guys felt about this, the one thing that kind of like didn't I don't know, it's kind of hard to bring this up. But like when the Ben Simmons thing happened, um Vegas card show in March. Rome. I'll come out there. I'm getting married in a few weeks, so let me see. Send me the date. I'll see if I can make it. Um, but yeah, you know, like I don't know how you feel about this, guys and gals, but when the Ben Simmons thing happened, I got so excited about that, right? Because I know like how much like a 5-star number 1 overall pick can move the needle. But it was just like it wasn't really anything. It didn't really make me feel anything. And Ben Simmons turned out to, be whatever he is now. So I miss like Van Chancellor and Sylvia Fowles and Simone Augustus and now Angel Reese and Kim. They're awesome. They're so good. But men's hoops, you know, it's going to take a lot of winning for me to like sit down and watch those games in full. Also, something else that just pisses me off is the men's basketball officiating is so bad, and I want to punch myself in the face sitting down to watch college basketball just with 2 neutral teams. It sucks. It sucks so bad. It sucks so bad. The refereeing is so bad. And, these kids practice for a gazillion hours a day just for every touch foul 15 feet away from the ball that nobody else saw gets called. I mean, it's and here's the thing. College basketball don't want to do anything about it. Every single fan moans about this and gets mad about this and brings this whole thing up. And guess what? Nothing gets done about it. Absolutely nothing. And we just want to sit on our hands and as college basketball fans just consume March Madness and then make their $1 billion. That's all that matters. It's all that matters. But we are doing a disservice to these men that play and the women too. Angel Reese getting the technical foul. She just blocked a girl's shot with a shoe in her hand. Of course she's going to taunt. She was holding a shoe, right? Like, we're LSU. That's a bad dad joke. But and they want to call a technical foul on her? Really? I mean, college basketball, I can't do it. That's why I only do football. That's why I only do football. Now, I can't do anything else. College baseball, don't get me on that. Now, I would change college baseball so much. That's why I only do football, right? If you got a question about Gavin Dugas or Dylan Cruz, I can get somebody on here to break it all down for you. But I'm not smart enough or patient enough. BK is Hacksaw, Jim Duggan. Jalen Hurts better than Tua. Jalen Hurts is good. Like, I mean, there's just no other way around it. He's good. Yes, he's got the best supporting cast in the NFC, not named the 49ers. They're loaded. They're absolutely loaded. Jalen Hurts is good, though. He's good. He's good. I lost 10 viewers talking about basketball. That's why you see college basketball, it's a cancer. It's a cancer. It just wants to rip every YouTube channel apart. 10 people left. I just watched it. 10 freaking people left during a college basketball rant. So I am done talking about this sport. Done. If you're not bringing up Angel Reese, if you're not bringing up Kim Mulkey, I'm not going to talk about it on this channel. Not. Okay. Kobe, good to see you. Tell your son I said hello. He's always welcome on the show. He actually liked one of my posts recently. I was like, God, that's cool. Huh? There you go. When I help build my real estate in Baton Rouge to put you up a studio, we will not. Well, I'll talk NBA because I love my Pelicans. But even then, I'm not going to get into the Pelicans now. I'm not, because obviously we're all mad about that too. It's why football is so much better. It's why, and I grew up loving the NBA more. Once again, I almost traded some Joe Burrow cards for Giannis today. I freaking love Giannis. Not my favorite, but I like him. I love to have one of it. I've never had a Giannis card. But you know what I'll say is like, yeah, basketball's got to fix a lot. It's got to fix the officiating. It's got to fix its regular season. I wonder if we have some football players who can help out on the court. Kobe, let's get Jacobian on the court. I know one thing for certain. Jacobian will box out. It drives me insane, right? The college team I announced for. We played so well the other night. The only thing we didn't do was box out on free throws. It's the first thing you learn in high school. And we actually got a team this year. Actually got a really good team. But I know Jacobian will box some people out. BTJ can who? That doesn't shock me. What I used to, I think I had a video of him dunking on my phone somewhere. You know, one thing I'll say about BTJ, and we'll get into some LSU football now. I know a lot of you are frustrated because I love basketball so much. I'm not going to talk about Liverpool Chelsea tonight. I'm sorry, not happening. I know you guys were dying to know my thoughts on the Liverpool Chelsea game. But anyway, BTJ, right? What's very interesting is by the end of the season, he quickly became one of the best blockers on the team, right? Not just offensive line, on the team. That guy gets after it. Obviously, his block on Eli Ricks in overtime will go down in LSU lore as one of the best plays we've ever had in overtime. We've had some crazy ones. Okay? So the truth is BTJ is a 5-tool player. So Zach wants to talk some BTJ tonight. Thank you for the super chat. Really appreciate it. Mark is ready for the Colin Hurley era. Colin will be on the show in late February. We're working out a date pretty soon on that. This looks like the Natty game right now. Daniel, I can't put a curse word up there, but that was pretty nuts. Your Unc was going off. I used to have some Shannon Sharp cards. Got rid of them. This looks like the Natty game right now. What, the NFL game? So, I see. Huh? 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 So I don't have a TV on. I don't know what the score is. I know right before I started it was 21-0. Um, Eagles swallowing the points was my favorite play of the weekend. Um, and it's happening. I didn't actually play it though. I didn't it was my favorite play, but I wasn't in love with any of the lines this weekend. I just wasn't. Um, Last week I did pretty well with Cowboys covering the spread versus the Buccaneers. So Max wants to talk some NFL. Obviously, this is a very laid back live stream tonight, ladies and gentiles. We have 81 of you on a busy Saturday night. That's always very blessed. I'm so blessed to have each and every one of you. Hope you like, subscribe, ring the bell. We always give out some cool stuff. Sending this Joe Burrow card out to my man Buster pretty soon. Pretty excited about that. Oh, it's 28-0 now. Doesn't shock me. I wonder what Justin Jefferson feels about this game right now. But here's the truth, okay? I know he's a Bama player, but Jalen Hurts is good, right? If you sit down and watched him enough, the eye test clears. Now, is he Joe Burrow good? No, because Jalen has an offensive line. Joe Burrow has no offensive line. So, yeah, I mean, he's not as good as Joe Burrow. He's not as good as Josh Allen. But at the very minimum, Jalen Hurts is going to play in a Super Bowl, whether it be this year or the next year, right? The Eagles, they're loaded. I mean, they're going to return everybody next year. And they're good. They're a good football team. So, yeah, I think Jalen's a really good player. I really do. He's got great accuracy. He's got great toughness. He's got great leadership. No extracurriculars from him. He's pretty like he speaks like a quarterback. He looks like a quarterback. He's just a straightforward guy. I mean, you know, he's about his business. And yeah, it makes us look a lot better, a 2019 LSU team, right? We shut down Jalen. We shut down Trevor. Trevor had a good playoff. I didn't watch the Chief game today, but uh let you know how good Aranda was at the end of the year, right? It's true. Hurts is an Oklahoma player. That's true. Y'all right about that. But I'm actually a Jalen stan. I like Jalen. I do. He's just business, man. So there's something about somebody just being strictly about business. You know? Yeah, I hate that for all the concussions. But Jalen, he's underpaying right now, playing through that shoulder. But what is it? Lane Johnson, right now, the right tackle for the Eagles, right now is playing with a torn groin. Or what is it? What does he have? Could you imagine playing National Football League football with a torn freaking groin? What? What? Do you know what crap you have to be shot up with to manage that pain? These dudes are freaking incredible. And we got guys in other sports sitting out while they're healthy. Won't say who. A torn groin. And every time as an offensive line, you got to get in your little stance. Do you know how much pain? I wonder what they have to shoot in him. I was lucky to meet Jason Taylor for the SC championship game. And I didn't ask him about this because it was very painful. But like I remember reading like when he played at the end of his career, like all the what is it? Sterile? I don't even know what it is. They would inject you with all this stuff. Not steroids, but it's like a pain reliever or something like that. Yeah, Hal, I know you go to the games. I hate it for you. All right. I hate it for the John Brady's of the world. Uh-oh, we got a Bammer in here. Jared, a Bammer's coming after you. Blanton is coming after you. What's up, Mark? Good to see you. Ryan. Let's go, my guy. Good to see you. Uh-oh. I forgot, Max. Well, I didn't forget. Max is a huge Dolphins fan, and he is going to defend to his honor. But honestly, Max, I don't think you're a two-and-on believer. The two-and-ons. So for those that don't know, there is a group of people out there. If this makes sense at all right? There's a group of people out there that are called two-and-on, right? And they defend Tua at all cost when it is blatantly clear the guy is in over his head, right? Now, the concussions you feel bad for. But let's just say he was completely healthy. I can name 5 quarterbacks that every single one of you would take over him right now in his own conference. Burrow, check. Allen, check. Mahomes, check. Lawrence, check. That's 4. And then after that, it gets a little tricky. I know some of you are on the fence about Lamar Jackson, but Lamar undoubtedly I would take over Tua. So yeah, I'm taking Lamar over Trevor. But you know, if you have Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill and Mike McDaniel, a Shanahan guy calling your plays, you're going to be good. And they have Saints legend Teron Armstead. So yeah. Now, speaking of Miami, yeah, Daniel, it sucks. I can't stand it. I can't stand it. Right? I can't stand it. And to be honest, I don't fault the Pelicans. I don't fault Brandon Ingram. But Steve Kerr has said the quiet part out loud. Okay. The NBA is a very flawed league. And the problem is the NBA doesn't have enough people in Adam Silver's corner. And I don't want to get into NBA stuff though right now. Okay. Because I'm very passionate about it. I grew up on it. I grew up watching Jordan with my dad. That's how we bonded. Every night we would watch every Michael Jordan game. You want to know what I loved about it? He played every mother effing game. There was no load management in that era. Everybody played. Okay. We can get into debate about that later. But I knew if I sat down with my dad in my pajamas, I'd be in Indian style right in front of the TV. I knew I was going to get to see Jordan play. And I was never in the arena, but I knew I'd watch him. Different era. And I don't blame him. You know, playing every regular season game, these back-to-backs are brutal. But, you know, the NBA won't fix it. They just keep letting fans paying full price for tickets, full price for parking. Sometimes their windows get beat in. And you pay all this money. You got all your kids wearing the Steph Curry jerseys, and they healthy scratch them. He's sitting on the bench healthy. Makes $40 million a year. And you spent a month's paycheck for your kid can go to the game and go see him. All he wants to do is see him play. But 50 rows in the trip on the third level. That's all I want to do. Is just go out there, play 1 second. Not gonna do it. Lamar can't stay healthy either. Well, Colin Hurley throwing darts. Let's go. Ooh, Jared, that's spicy. If Lamar was healthy, Joey B would be watching the playoffs from home. That's good. Yeah, you honestly might be right about that. I mean, this Bengals team is not that good right now. I mean, they have a horrible offensive line. I mean, they are capital A booty hole right now. This offensive line the Bengals has is atrocious. They're so bad. So, Lamar, when he's healthy, is as good as it gets, honestly. Mahomes, Mahomes, Allen, I would still take Joe over Lamar, but Joe just does not. That roster is they got to fix that. They have got to fix that offensive line. And Huntley fumbled at the 1 yard line, right? Everybody, welcome King Wizard to the channel. I want to show some love to King Wizard. Show some love. I will not continue until King Wizard gets some love, man. I want everybody to feel the love. First time commenters. Ricky Collins or Colin Hurley, who is LSU's quarterback of the future. Okay. So Colin Hurley's getting ready to come on the channel here in a few weeks, right? Probably about a month or so. Very great guy. Also, I'll say my voice was a part of one of his LSU promotional videos. I don't know if he cuts it. I don't know if LSU cuts it. Whatever. I love me some Colin Hurley, right? Kind of looks a little bit like Dak, right? He's got great size. He obviously has a really, really good arm. The one thing I really liked about watching Ricky Collins and doing my own evaluation of him is his supporting cast at Woodlawn was not the absolute best. And obviously, he had a defensive back who was a 4-star, Jordan Matthews, and he had some other decent players. But if you go watch Colin Hurley, it was so interesting to see him under pressure as many times as he was, right? And if you go to patreon.com/LSU football, you will see my Ricky Collins film study. He was under heavy pressure, and his arm is really good. Obviously, his running ability is really good. It's not special. It's not like in the Jaden Hurts tier of runner, but he's a really solid runner, right? And that would be a big part of who he is. There you go, King. Good to see you. A lot of people sleeping on my guy Ricky. I don't get it. It's basically a more athletic version of Nuss, to be honest. Yeah, he's definitely the better athlete. His arm is probably as good as Nuss's, but Nuss is a overall just better thrower of the football right now, right? Obviously, Nuss is older than him, but Nuss mechanically is really, really, really good, right? Now, I think, when I evaluate quarterbacks, I'm factoring in everything like footwork and anticipation and wow plays and all of that. But I'm not a quarterback mechanics expert, right? I'm not George Whitfield or anyone like that. So I'll defer to those guys as far as their expertise on throwing mechanics between Ricky and Nuss. But Nuss is very compact, right? And what I think really happened is, and this is gonna sound really stupid, but I think the best thing that might have happened in Garrett Nussmeier's career was the 2 interceptions versus Southern. The game was in hand. He was taking chances. Yes, it sucks that our shutout was taken away. But let's be honest, in the grand scheme, Southern got to score, getting some points on the board is better than getting shut out. It just looks aesthetically better than the goose egg. And then, what else is really nice about that is Garrett Nussmeier quickly realized, hey, I'm trying to roll out and make a lot of crazy things happen, and it's not working versus Southern. Okay? Let me change up who I am. And as the season progressed, you saw Nussmeier operate better within the confines of the pocket. And then you also still saw some of the playmaking ability. Obviously, the JAKAI touchdown versus Georgia was spellbounding. And then, of course, the really good throw to Kayshawn really to get things going for him in the second half of that game. So, you know, Ricky, you are right though. I mean, his playmaking ability is really good, and Ricky has got a really good arm. It's just, it's there's a little bit of a wind up to it, and you get away with some of that in high school, but when he gets to the next level, it's going to take a little bit. But athletically, there won't be anything he can't handle, and that's half the battle, right? All right, Simper, good to see you. You don't win the Presley contest tonight. Sorry, Simper. You gotta hang around for another 15. Let's talk about this. Johnson, we thank you so much for always your generous super chats. It goes a long way. Let's face the immediate future. What impact will OU and TU have on LSU recruiting? Texas got the number one offensive and defensive player out of Louisiana. Are our coaches thinking about the future of recruiting? Okay. Type Y for yes, type N for no. Are you concerned about Texas and Oklahoma's recruiting when they join the SEC? Type Y for yes, type N for no if you are concerned. Okay. Let's take a look at the poll question. Who will win tomorrow? 49ers winning this poll question by quite a bit. There you go. UTTU, whatever. Scooby says yes. Jared says yes. Hal said no. Tyler said no. Mark said no. Zach said no. Especially not OU. Okay. So John Sibley, I know you love Texas. So very good point. Let's start from sometimes with these super chats, it's better to start from back to front because the back is going to require has a little bit more specificity. Are our coaches thinking about the future of recruiting? The good news, if you're LSU, is unless Tulane becomes a Power 5 university, you don't have to worry about recruiting, especially now with the transfer portal. Because now you have a lot of these Louisiana guys come back as 1 or 2 year rentals from the portal that were either processed by LSU or looked over by LSU because they always want to play for the hometown school. LSU has an inherent advantage of 100% their neighborhoods throughout the state of Louisiana all being LSU fans. It's not like Alabama where some people are Auburn fans. It's not like Florida where everything's scattered. It's not like a lot of these schools. That's part of the reason why Georgia is so good now because Georgia Tech just doesn't have anything going for it right now. So, I don't think the coaches are necessarily worried about Texas and LSU. I just don't think so, right? Even though we had a more national blueprint in recruiting this past year, I don't think they're worried right now. I don't think you have to worry about Oklahoma getting into Louisiana and getting some of these kids. I know we were after Shavian Bird and they won that battle. I know they had Adrian Ely out of Gonzalez a few years ago, who turned out to be really good players in the NFL now. And then the second thing, as far as TU got the number one offensive and defensive player out of Louisiana. Okay. So let's start with Derek Williams, who signed with Texas, the best safety, had a really good grade on him. I think he's going to be a really good player for them. I put on his film and put on Colin Jackson's film and tell me if you really see a big difference. And even though they missed on Derek Williams, they did get Javian Toviano. Also, Derek Williams did visit LSU quite a few times. And we just couldn't really get the ball rolling on that. There was some positive momentum, and I knew a little bit about this recruitment with someone who was involved. I don't think LSU really did anything wrong too much in this. recruitment at all, really, especially considering we ended up with a really good defensive back class. Okay. Now, TU got the number one offensive player, and that, of course, is Arch Manning. So, once again, I'll always be a Peyton fan. Peyton, I think, is the best quarterback of all time. I'll fight somebody over that. And I've said that before on here. Yeah, Brady won the Super Bowl, so technically he's the best, right? But I think, and I've seen this just in football cards and going to football card shows, the disrespect for Peyton in the football card hobby is just insane. Like, this guy changed everything about the game of football. Peyton was the Steph Curry of quarterbacks, right? He changed all of it. All of it. Audibles, all of it. The way you see it now. I know audibles existed before Peyton, kind of like, crazy layups existed before Jordan, kind of like three-point shots existed before Steph, but those guys changed it, right? So, I'm always going to be a big Manning fan. I don't like, and I think Arch is going to be a fine player. I just don't think he is a clear-cut national number one guy. How I rated the quarterbacks finally was Nico number one, and then number two, I had Dante Moore. That's just how I saw it. Arch is like in that next tier with like Malachi Nelson and some of those other guys, Jackson Arnold. I know some people like Vizina. And then, of course, Ricky Collins is going to be the number one overall. Forget Nico. But yeah, obviously Arch Manning's a little bit different. This was never going to be an LSU thing. As much as I love Peyton and Eli, they're Tennessee and Ole Miss guys, right? And Archie, it is what it is, right? TU got the number one offensive and defensive player out of Louisiana. TU got the number one offensive player, Texas. So yeah, I don't think that's going to be a trend. I mean, they've gotten some other Louisiana guys. They got, Shiro Davis a few years ago. That Texas really hasn't dominated Louisiana as much as you would think. And you take a look at LSU's recruiting in Texas. We've done fine there. Obviously, Jamal Adams, obviously Austin Deculus, and a few other obviously very good players. So, yeah, I mean, I think it's been a little bit of reciprocal, right? We've gotten some guys out of Texas, and they've gotten some guys out of Louisiana. What impact will OU and TU have on LSU's recruiting? I think very little. Obviously, getting into the SEC does sell things a little bit easier for just any recruit. Hey, we're going to be in the conference. But, I just don't know. I don't like it's funny, John said, like, and this kind of goes into like a larger point. I keep hearing this phrase, and it's fun to say because obviously Brian Driscoll, the Notre Dame troll artist, said this, but he said that Brian Kelly is not an elite recruiter. So we've all made this joke a million times. BK can't recruit, right? We've all made this joke. We've all made the same dunk on social media to all the Notre Dame naysayers and all the rest of the SEC naysayers. But the truth is, the reason why Brian Kelly recruited, or the reason why Brian Kelly came to LSU, is so he can recruit better, right? The truth is, LSU does a lot of the recruiting based on the brand. Now, a lot of it is Brian Kelly. Obviously, this first class was a lot of Jamar Cain. But Brian Kelly came to LSU because of the LSU brand. It is why he came here, to win a national championship. And he is seeing the fruits of that labor already. He's killing it in the transfer portal. He's killing it in high school recruiting as well. And we're only going to get better. Sky's the limit here. So, I think we tend to think of certain coaches moving the needle in recruiting for certain schools. Some do, right? Like Jimbo Fisher moved the needle for Florida State, and he moved the needle for Texas A&M. And we can get into the NIL debate, but he did. But more often than not, historically, the same schools recruit at the same level. There's not really much change, right? Clemson has obviously moved up some, but they've moved back down some. Florida has always been in the 10s, sometimes a little bit higher than that. But historically, Alabama, Georgia, Ohio State, Michigan, us, and a few others. Auburn sometimes moves up, but they're normally around in the 10s as well. the same recruiting is going to be the same recruiting. It's just some of it is legacy, some of it is obviously where you are geographically, some of it is genetics. But yeah, let's go to Allen here. I hear some whispers of Alabama targeting Walker Howard. Do you think he would have won the starting job? News to me. Huh? Huh? Last I checked, he did commit to Ole Miss. Did he sign? I don't know if he actually signed. I kind of just put that story on the back burner. I just kind of assumed he signed and will be there for spring. I know this transfer portal window closed, so if he wanted to go to Alabama, he would have to wait for the May window to open up. But I do think he'll be at Ole Miss. So Alabama targeting Walker Howard just doesn't make a lot of sense. I mean, they signed 2 quarterbacks in this high school recruiting class, and they still have Milroe and Ty Simpson. So let's just say if Walker Howard could go to Alabama, he wouldn't be solving a problem, which the quarterback room at Alabama, the only problem Nick Saban would want to have solved with this quarterback room is bringing in somebody who he has actually seen. The issue is he has not seen any of these quarterbacks for Alabama outside of Milroe. So Alabama is going to likely start Jalen Milroe next year. So the whispers you are hearing, Alan, are not accurate. Unless you have some super sources, or if this is Jamie Howard's burner account. Could very well be. Thank you, Jamie, for the super chat. But Alan, I appreciate you. Thank you so much. So yeah, safeguard your soul. Good to see you. Hey Scott, what's up? Good to see you. I mean, you know what's funny about this, Chance? You've been on fire tonight, man. What's really interesting is like, what was I gonna say? I'm an idiot. What was I gonna say? I'm a freaking idiot. Oh yeah, Texas has had a few years that they haven't had anybody drafted, or they have 1 year where they didn't have anybody drafted, but they rarely have elite draft picks. James, good to see you as well. Love the photo. It's a great photo. Jason says my money is on Eli Holstein. Well, that would be like betting the Giants tonight. Kidding. Eli Holstein is very athletic, right? Athletically, he checks every box. He is obviously probably a sub 4.8 guy, which is fast for a quarterback. He's a unit. He can chunk the football really far. So you are hoping for very watered down Josh Allen. If you're getting him a late bloomer, if you will, and he's won a lot of games. Like he won a state championship last year. I think he's fine. If he would have gone to LSU, you know, he needs work. I'll just put it like that. He didn't really pop off for me. Like his best was really best. I also say this is not an anti-Alabama thing because obviously, like when Tua came out of high school, I had never seen a high school quarterback that processed things as quickly as he did. It was crazy. Um, but so I'm not like anti. I mean, I was praising Jalen Hurts earlier. I'm not in love with any of the quarterbacks they brought in. I'm not in love with Launer again. I'm not in love with Holstein, but they brought in 2. It's very interesting. Jared, thank you for the super chat. I really appreciate it. You think he's going to start this year? Athletically, it's not an issue. The athleticism is not an issue for Eli. And I mean, he's raw. He is very raw. Um, Matt Breida got the rushing touchdown for the Giants. Oh my God. Please, 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 please punch me in the face right now, somebody. Please. Eli Holstein sounds like Bama's radio guy. That's true. Eli Gold. That's pretty deep. I like that. Great radio voice. He sounds the Eli Gold thing always a joke is he sounds like Vern Lundquist. And they do sound like the exact same. True freshman starting in the SEC is a recipe for disaster. I hope they do start him. Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's a recipe for disaster if you play at Alabama, though, right? The supporting cast is just always going to be so good that it doesn't matter, right? Um, but I'm just not high on Holstein. Like it's not, and it's not anything against him. Obviously, I said a lot of good things about him. I just didn't, you know, I I really like Dante Moore. I really do. I really, really, really do. Um, but we'll see. We'll see. Obviously, we're all projecting here, and quarterbacks is the most difficult. It is the most mental position. Your brain doesn't stop developing as a human until you're 25. It's a weird, weird, weird thing. We don't know. We honestly don't know. The best quarterback in this sport was a 25-year-old walk-on. I mean, you don't know. You don't know. Or a second-year 5-star quarterback. Pick either one. I'd be fine with it. Chance, I'm going to be honest. I think the media is still going to pick Alabama. If I were to guess, what the media day vote would be like, I would say probably 60% of first place votes are still going to go to Alabama. But I think LSU is going to get a good chunk of the votes. I think what happens to us as college football fans is let's just say you're a diehard LSU football fan, and all 104 of you here on a Saturday night. I would say, obviously we got some Bama fans in here, but we got fans of all SEC fan bases that watch this channel. I would say probably 90% of you are diehard LSU football fans. Okay. You watch every second of every game. You watch, I would say a good bit of you probably have watched a lot of my film studies. If you've watched them, you have seen the throws that, Jaden Daniels misses. And he misses, right? It's not the end of the world. Obviously, he does a lot of other things really, really well. But he does miss a lot. But the truth is, not every single person watches every down of every game, right? If you watched every down of every Alabama game, you would know that their offensive line this year, for the second consecutive year, had issues, right? I didn't watch every snap of every Bama game. I just know it from watching a good bit of them. They had issues. They weren't. I don't think they were as bad as they were the year before, but they for the second straight year they've had some issues. Okay, um, obviously that 2020 group might have been the best offensive line I've ever seen in college football. They were good. Okay, but the issue is we don't see the flaws of all the other teams. So I know, and I've gotten this message from a few patrons, a few viewers of the channel. There's no way we're going to repeat the SEC West with Jaden Daniels again next year, because you watch every second and every snap of Jaden Daniels' season, and you see the flaws. But the issue is all the other fans of all the other fan bases do the same thing, where they watch their own team and they see all the flaws of their current team. And I think when you really look at LSU as a whole and you look at what they're returning next year, all the production they're returning, where are the major flaws on LSU's team? Obviously, special teams has got to get better. Obviously, the secondary, I think, wore down. The defense wore down. The depth of the overall team wore down. But honestly, LSU's roster on both sides of the football has a relatively high floor for next year. I mean, they're going to be solid. Some of the transfers that are coming in are going to. It's a very weird thing, right? As far as who uh who will be predicted to win the SEC West. But what I will tell you, Chance, is from a neutral point of view, if you don't watch every snap of every Jaden Daniels game, a lot of the media is going to see, hey, he is a fifth-year starter with high character. He is very likable. He is very affable. Kind of reminds you a little bit of Stetson Bennett, right? Stetson was a very flawed fourth-year quarterback or fifth year, whatever year it was. He took another step, right? A lot of people didn't think Stetson Bennett had that in his arsenal. Who's to say Jaden won't do the same next year? It would be a pretty big step for me as a passer, but the lack thereof, turnovers probably will translate to next year. His running ability is definitely going to translate next year. His intangibles, leadership, affability, all those things are going to translate to next year. He should be pretty solid. I mean, honestly, he should be very, very solid, especially with Malik and BTJ coming back, and Will Campbell and Emory Jones and all his running backs and his OC. There's continuity. Tight end is going to get better. I'm going to give you a little secret here. There was a player in the 2023 recruiting class that did shoot up my board after some evaluations over this past week, who I think is going to be a lot better than what I initially thought. And I think he's going to help our offense year one. I don't like giving year one grades out, but I'm pretty close to one player getting that grade. And I think as far as like being picked to win the SEC West, especially if that player turns into what I expect him to be, we are going to take the next step. Now, here's what we're going to do. If we get a super chat, I'll reveal who that player is that shot up top 5 player bona fide on my board. Might not be on your board. My board's different than, honestly, my board's not really that different from, like, the rankings are pretty accurate. My rankings for the last class, I brought it up a few times, was slightly different than 247, but it was about the same. It was about the same. So yeah. Now, hold on. Let me think about something. Oh, yeah. The one thing that I like as much as I love picking LSU to win the SEC West. I don't think you guys really know what that one thing is. There was one thing. Well, I'll think about that one thing. Look at what I got this in a deal today. Y'all think this guy's going to come back? This won a $10 card. Or is he a one-year wonder? I'll tell you, this guy had the craziest playoff run last year. It's a beast. Oh, who won? T.O.V. T.O.V. coming in hot. Bang! Pressy Collection, PressyCollection.com. Congratulations, T.O.V. The PressyCollection.com first commenter of the evening. As you can see, when I made the announcement that Haley and I were engaged, she posted the ring on social media, and these are some Facebook comments, these are some Instagram comments, and you see what they had to say about the rock. Now, a lot of you have seen this rock, you get tired of seeing it, but I am in love with it. She is the love of my life. That's a good thing about the Pricey collection. It's not just rings. It's necklaces, pendants. We gave out a pearl set to Desi, the wife of Big Al, a few weeks ago. We're going to be doing more giveaways. Presley Collection and the PresleyCollection.com. PresleyCollection.com. POV. You dog. Thank you, Mark. I appreciate that. Coming from a Bammer, that's pretty good, man. Some people just want it all, and I just want it all. If it ain't, I kind of want to do a live stream from, like, you know, we do our Saturday night live streams, right? Kind of want to do a live stream from, because we're getting married on Saturday here in a few weeks. Kind of, would y'all want me to do a live stream from the wedding floor? From the, Jewel wants one. So, if anybody wants to profess their love to Jewel, here's your chance. You never know, Jewel. There might be somebody in here just for you. Just for you. There you go. Here's what we're going to do tonight. Kind of want to give this out tonight. Feeling good. Feeling great. How are you? Will Campbell autograph photo. I kind of want to give one out tonight. Okay. Let's see. All you got to do tonight. Some PHO merch, baby. That's all you got to do. Next person and get $60 of PHL merchandise. You get the autograph Will Campbell photo. Okay. I'm down to my last couple of hats, folks. Last few. Jewel is putting herself out there. You know what, Mick? I kind of agree with you here. Like, you know, you don't have to put, like, you notice I don't profile sham anymore. Normally, if I see a letter avatar, I'll do that. Totally get some of you that want to remain anonymous. I get it. But Jewel, if you really want an engagement, you know, some people. I mean, I know people should love you for your personality, but I mean, come on. When you use the dating apps, you swipe right or swipe left. You're not necessarily seeing if that person knows what, you know, a counter trap is. You know, it's either, you know. You'll super chat wedding gifts. Hey, that will definitely help pay for things. Oh my God, you guys will not want. I mean, I am this marriage thing. I don't know about this. I really don't. I'm having like quadruple thoughts about having the wedding because I saw how much the flowers were. Flowers. I'll go pick them out myself. I'll go get the flowers. I have no problem with that. What I paid for flowers this week, folks. Flowers. Good for one night. I'll pay for food. I'm a foodie. I'm fat. I'm chubby. Fattest I've ever been is now. I've been this way for the past 6 months. Can't run anymore. My knees are shot. My knees are gone. My knees yell at me when I run. That's how bad it is. But flowers. Why are flowers? Just go by the cemetery. Roger's on a date tonight. He said, "I swipe right just because she's in here right now." There you go, Roger. Roger on a date tonight. I like it. I never thought it. PHL and chill, baby. Netflix and chill out. PHL and chill in. If I really wanted to start making money, I would have to start a PHL OnlyFans. But after I got the bill for flowers, I swear to you, I swear, I was like, guys, I've got to start posting some feet pics or something to pay for this. It was absurd, absurd. I wanted to go. I wanted to go vomit. I was that mad at looking at the price for the flowers. I was just like, what in the world? We really haven't talked about anything LSU tonight. It's just been crazy. We're going to talk a lot about JAKAI Clark, the center. I like him. I hope we get him. But we'll see. But it's just insane. Insane. I haven't yet, Zach. I'm thinking about it. I was going to save it for a Patreon exclusive, though. Mike Leach's feelings on weddings. It's funny, Skipper, like when he died a few weeks ago, for 2 consecutive nights, I just watched all the Mike Leach stuff. The candy bar interview with Alyssa Lang is still my favorite. But I mean, there's just so many. Oh. I'm fine with keeping it a Patreon exclusive. Perfectly fine with that. So, don't forget, I'm giving a few of these out. $60 of merch. It's 2 items. Help grow the brand. Chris 606 is a past Pressy Collection winner. I like Ricky Collins. I think he's going to be a playoff QB for us. Should have eloped. I really think we should have. It's going to be a base. It's going to be a beast. There you go. Now, here's what we're going to do. In the next 5 minutes, I'm going to answer as many questions as I possibly can. As many. It could be questions about life. It could be questions about the pursuit of happiness. It could be questions LSU football related. It could be anything related. We've chatted a lot of different things tonight. One thing I didn't want to chat too much about, I skipped a really interesting comment about Walker Howard a little bit earlier. I didn't want to do too much quarterback stuff tonight. I just didn't. Okay. Thoughts on playoff expansion? I think it'll just end up giving mulligans to the team that doesn't deserve it. So Mark is an Alabama fan, and you are right. The expansion only helps the powerful. It only helps Alabama. It only helps Georgia. It only helps Ohio State. but more people get in. And that's a good thing. Really? 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 You think that's a good thing? Really? It's not. Perfect example. Nick Saban's the greatest coach of all time. He's still good. Still good at this thing. I think he makes a few more mistakes now. I think he punts too much, honestly. But that's a different story for a different day. Okay. I hate expansion. Hate it. It is hard to beat Alabama. It is harder to beat them on a neutral field where Saban has way more experience than you do at coaching these bowl games in these neutral field playoff games. I'd rather beat them on home turf. Okay. What playoff expansion is going to do, and I know what you're going to say. Carter, the first rounds of the playoffs are going to be in the home fields of the higher seeded team, which is true. But ultimately, the biggest games are played on neutral fields, right? I love the college football regular season. We're talking about the NBA earlier, and I know football is a far more scarce and different game than the NBA. But, once you become a fan of European soccer, you see that they don't have playoffs, and it's better. It's better. Playoffs, only in football you really need playoffs. Playoffs don't make any sense because it devalues the regular season. What makes a playoff game different than a regular season game? Why do we, inherent or put more value on a playoff game than a regular season game? It doesn't make any sense. It doesn't. And in college, it makes sense because there's so many teams and there's only so many games. So I get why there's playoffs in college. But, Alabama was still the number 5 ranked team. Like they still almost got in. They're going to get in every year. Okay, they're going to get in every year. The only year they would have not gotten in is 2019. And do you really think the officials would have let Auburn beat Alabama in a controversial Iron Bowl with a playoff spot on the line for Alabama? No, they would not have let that happen. So the truth is the playoff expansion is not good for the sport, but I get it. They want to make more money. Obviously, the American capitalistic way is to squeeze every single dollar out of everything that we have. We've seen it in the NFL where you stretch out the playoff from 6 to 7. And I get it. I know why the college, powers that be are doing it. Playoff games make infinitely more money. What is it? The few playoff games make about the same amount of money as all the other bowl games combined, or the New Year's 6 games make as much money as all the other games combined. I get why they're doing it, but I'm not seeing that money. You're not seeing that money. And yes, there's going to be some excitement about the playoff. Yes, it's going to be fun to see, these live look-ins that we get in the NCAA tournament. It was fun seeing TCU celebrate that they got into the playoff. But guys, this is not March Madness. And especially now that the playoffs are going to be where conference championship games are still happening. So you can, in theory, play a 17-game season. Do you think that helps the little guys, or do you think it helps the teams that have 5 stars as backups? Alabama, Georgia, Ohio State are the big winners of expansion. They're going to be in every year. Okay. Now, here's what a lot of you would say. Well, it benefits LSU. It does, because we play tougher schedules, right? We can lose to Alabama and still get in. So it does benefit us, which makes me more passionate about this opinion because it's still one of those things that I don't like, and that's fine, right? I don't like playoff expansion. I just don't. I hate it. I really do. There's something to be said. And if you go listen to the free PHL podcast on iTunes and Spotify, I dedicated an entire episode to this very thing. The last meaningful LSU versus Alabama game was played in Tiger Stadium earlier this year in 2022. And it was a damn good one to go out on. And I don't say the D word all that often. I don't think it gets demonetized, but that game eliminated Alabama from the 14 playoff, and they still almost got in. The immediacy of each and every week in college football is what makes it beautiful. 2 teams this year were eliminated by South Carolina, and the entire college football landscape was changed with random November games in Columbia, South Carolina. Well, one was in Clemson, and that wasn't random. It was a rivalry game, but it was random in the whole scope of college football. Never in a million years would you have thought that South Carolina would have put the guillotine on 2 playoff teams, but they did. They did. Okay. So rarely will you see a Bammer, and Mark is the same way. Mark is a Bammer. Alabama benefits more than we do. Eddie asks, how long have I been doing this? What's up, Eddie? Good to see you. So I started in as a sophomore in college. That was officially my start. Actually, my second semester as a freshman at Tiger TV. Now, the YouTube stuff, this channel was started a few years ago, but I didn't get into my, career. But you guys aren't here to learn more about me. We're here to talk about LSU football. So, Fetty, if you want me to talk more about it, I will happily do that in just a second. Reveal it. I want to hear what you're thinking on him. On him? Okay. Him being Malik mother freaking Neighbors. Yeah, so I really do like wink wink, nod nod. Colin Jackson. I really do. I think Colin Jackson is very underrated. I think he is going to give us really good special teams reps. His special teams tape is really good. And I think he's underrated. I do. I don't like if I were to watch his film and Derek Williams' film, I don't see much of a difference. That might be my LSU bias creeping in. Sometimes it creeps in. I try to be as objective as I can with my evaluations, but I think they're about the same. All right. So Kylan Jackson, wink wink, nod nod, is someone that has shot up my board. I like him a lot. I wonder how long it will last when they're going to be basically blowouts. Yeah, Skipper. I guess it just depends on the matchup. Like, one thing that would be sexy is like Tulane. Like Tulane and USC would be a legitimate like playoff matchup. So if that game was a playoff game, it would obviously there would have been more impetus on what actually happened. But what's interesting to me, and I'm going to share with you something. So I'm not able to listen all the time to the new linebacker. Spate's really good football player. As you know, Skipper, you're a patron, so you've made some really good points. He does miss some tackles. I think he's going to be good. I'm going to make a point that Joe Burrow recently shared in a podcast. Okay. So Joe Burrow said something that I thought was very fascinating is when he is actually playing in a playoff game or like a high leverage game, he says he doesn't feel anything different. Okay. He doesn't feel, and this goes with Mark's super chat, and then we'll get to Carver's super chat here in a second. Joe Burrow says once you start playing a game, you just feel like you're playing in a game. And he also said that he felt somewhat of less pressure in the Super Bowl because he said it felt like, I don't remember what he said. He felt like there was no noise because it's a very corporate thing. So obviously he probably felt differently about the Super Bowl, but he said if you're actually playing in a game, right? He says once the game tips off or kicks off or whatever. Now this might just be him. I don't necessarily fully agree with Joe on this. But for him, he says he feels he's just playing in a game. He doesn't feel any like it does like if it's a game-winning drive in like the fourth quarter of week 3, he doesn't feel much different than in the playoffs. I think is what he's basically saying. Could be wrong on that. But it is interesting, with the playoffs. And the reason why I bring that up is, a game is a game, regardless of if it's a playoff game or not. And what I would caution all sports leagues is the further you imbalance the weight of one game to the weight of another game is going to water and dilute down your league. It is not something that you want to do, right? Like, for instance, me getting ready to do this live stream, I am not giving you any different type of energy in this live stream than when I did a post Alabama live stream. Now that is kind of a lie, if I'm being honest. The post Alabama live stream was crazy. A lot of you remember it. It was from one of our PHLers' house, and it was nuts. It honestly was very bizarre. So, and there was like 600 people in here. It was crazy. And we started it like 2 hours after the game. It was nuts. But I really don't feel any there. Like if I am in a mode like right now, like I don't like I'm just once I click record or whatever, I don't feel any different. I feel pretty much the same during like every live stream. Now some get crazier than others. I would, if you want to, actually, if we're being honest, like one of our top 10 craziest live streams, Van made it very spicy. Was our last live stream. I highly recommend you go watch it because it is very comment based. It is very free flowing conversation, stream of consciousness, whatever. So yeah, new SEC divisions work in our favor equals the LSU playoffs. I actually do agree with this. I think the new SEC, the new SEC that will change over the next couple of years is actually going to help out the SEC as a whole. Now, what's very interesting is, one guy that obviously carries the weight of this is going to be Greg Sankey and the university presidents, right? So I've interviewed Greg Sankey quite a bit. I'll tell my Greg Sankey story. I actually made him mad one time. But I don't know if he was mad, but I'll share that for a different day. There's some things I agree with Greg Sankey on. There's some things I disagree with him on. Like he wants to think about, or he wants to reform the early signing period. You guys know how passionate I am about that. New SEC divisions work in our favor equals LSU playoffs. The current SEC schedule is not fair. It is not fair to 4 schools in particular. It's not fair to LSU. It's not fair to Florida. It's not fair to Auburn or Georgia. But it's really not fair to Auburn and LSU, right? Because we have a tougher cross-division rival than all the other West schools. We have Florida and we have Georgia. Now, Tennessee, of course, has changed that, but Tennessee has sucked for, 15 years now? So, for so long, LSU had to play the bonus game versus Florida. And as controversial as you feel about Les Miles, he always brought this up, right? And Les was a very competitive guy. It wasn't that he was backing down from a challenge, but however you feel about Joe Oliva or Les Miles, they always brought it up. Hey, we play Florida every year. Why is it fair for us to play Urban Meyer, Tim Tebow, and all these great players that Florida had over the years when, Alabama's getting Tennessee? And the point is, it shouldn't matter who that cross-division rival team is anyway. It is just stupid that, you have these divisions and you have a completely different side of the conference and you play just one school that none of your other division mates have to play. It is just imbalanced just for the sake of being imbalanced, right? And that is not fair at all, right? a good way to describe this would be, you know, if everybody had to, let's just say there's 7 workers, right? And um I've always used this analogy. So let's just, and it's not the cleanest analogy, but it kind of makes sense. Let's just say there's 7 workers, and every one of the workers had to work 2 hours extra 1 day a week. Okay. It seems equal, right? But what about the person that has to work the 2 hours extra every Sunday or every Friday night or every Saturday night? It's imbalance, right? Because those are premium nights. Those are nights when people go out. Those are nights when everybody's off, right? So just because you have one extra, whatever, doesn't necessarily make it equal, right? And what if the person on Tuesday night would have won it the Saturday? It's essentially what we're doing with the current divisions, and there's better ways to do it. So I agree with this, Carvis, because the way things currently are right now has always been unfair to LSU. That's a good question. So, how would you propose a playoff champion be crowned? The existence of a playoff means certain games are more important than others. So, like I said previously, in football, you got to have a playoff, right? You just do. It's just you don't want to make it so big and so expanded that it takes away from all the other games that you play, right? And basically put, you want to make everything equal as you possibly can, right? Obviously, in college football, it's not an equal sport in terms of talent, in terms of resources, in terms of scheduling, and it never will be. When we shouldn't even attempt to make it more equal in terms of that. What we can do is make all the regular season games matter, right? And with the current 4-team format, it makes it matter more, right? When you go to 12, you obviously devalue what the other games are. Now, I know what a lot of you would say. Well, what about Ole Miss and Mississippi State, the Egg Bowl this year, where if Ole Miss had won that game, they would have been in the playoff. True. And that game would be very valuable. And look, I would acknowledge that the 12-team playoff, there are a lot of bonuses such as that. But Ole Miss also had a chance to beat Alabama on their home field, and they only lost by a touchdown. And Ole Miss would have been basically absolved of their epic choke job in Baton Rouge. Now, Ole Miss should lose to LSU and Alabama. So one would say, hey, they lost to LSU and Alabama and they beat their rival. Let's reward them with a playoff game. Okay, I get that. And that is a very sound argument. But what I would say to the contrary is, if Ole Miss had gotten in, guess who else would have been in the playoff with them? LSU and Alabama, who would have already beaten them. And then you get rematches in the playoffs. Rematches in playoffs are never good. Notice what happened when this year's expanded NFL playoff happened. One of the worst things the NFL has done. I don't mind expanding the regular season one extra game because all the players get that much more piece of a pie. They get one more paycheck in theory, right? What I didn't like is them stretching out the playoff one extra game so they can make more money. All the 2-7 games have either been bad or they have been rematches in situations where the team had already beaten that said team twice during the year. That happened twice this year, where San Francisco had already beaten Seattle twice, got to play them a third time. Miami had already been beaten by the Bills twice. They had to play them a third time. Stupid. You've already beaten them twice in your own division, and you're playing them a third time because of the 7. The 2-7 thing is BS. It's BS. So when you keep expanding things, you're just going to get more rematches of games that have already happened. So it's it's not good. It's not good at all. What about Chiefs Bengals last year? Okay, what about it? Serious, what about it? They both won their divisions. Yeah, it was one random rematch where they both comfortably made the playoffs, right? Now, did the Bengals beat them the second time around? Yeah, but it wasn't a third rematch, which is different, right? They'll be back in for a 16-team playoff. Only conference champions should be allowed in a playoff in 12 teams. Then you're gonna have like these Conference USA teams that have like, well, not Tulane wasn't a good example of this, but you're gonna have like Mountain West teams getting, or does Mountain West even exist? I don't know. You're gonna have Sun Belt teams with like 4 losses getting in. So, yeah, it gets slippery, right? I think so, but it won't be like as explosive as it is now. Happened with the Saints 2 years ago, but Tampa won when it counted. Yeah, and okay, so to that point, all right, at least Tampa was the 5 seed in this scenario, right? At least they got in, you know, comfortably into the playoffs, right? The issue here is actually the other point is when the Saints lost to Tampa, where they got screwed was playing a game the week before versus the Bears, right? So they played the Bears the week before, and that was the first year of the 7-team playoff. A bad Bears team with Mitchell Trubisky, and the Saints won comfortably, right? They covered the spread. It was a sucky game. The Bears missed like a wide open touchdown, which would have made the game competitive. But that was the worst playoff team I think I've ever seen. But the Saints still should have beaten Tampa Bay. They choked. The issue, though, was that they had to play a game the week before. And when they played the game the week before, they lost some key pieces, right? Um, Latavius Murray got hurt. Freaking Taysom Hill got hurt, and they were should that have affected that game? No, but it's just one of those things, right? The more you move this stuff around, the more it hurts the teams that actually get the job done in the regular season. Yeah, it's true. It would. Yeah, it would be pretty rare. It would be pretty rare. So I'll answer as many in the next few moments. Let's see. It would have happened. Let's say LSU doesn't lose to A&M and Tennessee doesn't lose to Georgia, then LSU could have played Tennessee 3 times, right? But it's rare. Like, it would be very rare. So, I mean, still it could in theory happen 3 times. Where the CP3 cards at. Man, That's a good point. Huh? 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 So I want to collect a lot of legendary quarterback patches. So you see the Drew Brees card in the background, and that's my new Peyton Manning card. These two guys are kind of good right here. Peyton Manning, John Elway, game worn patch, dual autograph patch. Numbered to 5. Can't beat that. Thanks, Babs. Thanks so much, Babs.
No, you
want to say hi?
No, I'm talking to Michelle Lee. Babs.
He's talking to Michelle, whoever that is. I'm kidding. I know Michelle. She's sweet. Her husband's a big PHL supporter. So I've got that. And then this is, a card. This is probably my favorite card. What's up there? So Drew Brees autograph game worn patch right here. On card autograph game worn patch. Such a beautiful piece. Nasty. So there you go. That's been my main PC right now, collecting all the legendary quarterbacks. John Elway, Peyton Manning, all NFL Century team. The Rams in 99-2000, they're good. They're really good. Mark Bulger. I'm kidding. Mike Martz. Shout out to Marshall Falk. Right, all you cool cats and kittens. We will be having a conversation in the PHL Discord. That's what's really cool. If you are a PHL patron, Zach is a proud PHL patron. Jared is a proud PHL patron. Guess what? We're going to continue the chat over there. Our top super chatter for the evening was John Sibley, but, the normal usual suspects stepped up. Carvis stepped up. Max stepped up big time. This was a lot of fun. I love a good chill Saturday night live stream. Not going to lie, I thought we were not going to have many, but we had over 100 for a good portion. That's crazy. That is so crazy to me. I'm hideous. I am ugly. I don't know how you guys look at me for this full time. In fact, I should be paying you guys for looking at me. But this is what I do full time, and I'm very lucky to get to do it, thanks to your generosity. Now, don't forget, Tuesday, we're going to be doing something in Baton Rouge. I don't know what that something is. We're going to be doing something. So Tuesday night, if you want to come hang out, shoot me a message at Power Hour LSU. We're going to figure something out. Even if it's not a live stream, I just want to hang out. I want to meet as many PHLers as I possibly can. I'm very lucky. I will say this, Aaron, who I don't think is in here anymore, his wife brought me the best tasting, red velvet cheesecake, milkshake. God, it was the most delicious thing I've ever eaten in my life. I swear it's the best dessert I've ever had. It's why I'm fat now. I'm just kidding. Okay. Marshall Falk was a beast. Skipper super chats. There you go. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much. And go watch the replay of LSU Purdue. Yeah, do that. Or you can watch a film study. Watch it in super slow motion. In the words of Trey Songz, slow motion. That's a deep cut, Trey Songz. Slow motion. Was that Trey Songz? Let me see. That is Trey Songz. That song goes hard. All right. Skipper, I appreciate it. Text me after the live, Skipper. just posted in Discord. As Power Hour LSU BAM. And tonight, I'm having Mediterranean part 2. Some chicken basil pesto wraps. Let's go. Let's go. Ha, 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 ha. Also, Cowboys and Joey B wins tomorrow. Let's go.